Within the framework of this fictional, detailed universe story, everything begins to get going when an astonishing and thrilling rumor that spreads throughout the world of digital assets like a shockwave is spread. Analysts in this parallel reality are asserting with unwavering certainty that a leak of historic magnitude has decimated the established state of affairs in the financial world. Live streamers are frantically broadcasting over one another, and there is a frenzy of activity on cryptocurrency forums. The senior vice president of the Federal Reserve Bank is referred to as either David Andalfo or Antifoli, depending on the version of the story that you read, according to the narrative. Provided the final missing component of the grand plan that the Federal Reserve has purportedly been working on for over a decade, but did so without intention. Andalfo was, according to the report, in the middle of participating in a technical briefing on the FedNow system. This is a real-time payment network that is being introduced to the fake monetary grid. It was at this meeting that he supposedly made the announcement that Ripple will be responsible for the settlement duties for the next stage of financial modernization in the United States of America. The moment that this fictitious line was spoken from his mouth, the cryptocurrency community in this alternate universe was thrown into an immediate state of chaos. The chaos was characterized by the emergence of conjecture, a feeling of urgency, and outlandish ideas that attempted to piece together what had purportedly been communicated for years in the form of secret documents and whispered conversations. Within the framework of our imagined timeline, creators on YouTube quickly display a succession of spectacular photographs of the Federal Reserve Building, which prompts them to take immediate action. Slow pans and loud orchestral music are often played in conjunction with these photos. The narrators have a clandestine tone as they speak in hushed whispers, maintaining that these findings are not only indications, but rather verifications. They believe that the purported internal documents, private conversations, and enigmatic speeches that they reference from Federal Reserve leaders are all intentional breadcrumbs that point to Ripple's ascension to the foundation of the United States settlement network. The claim made by these individuals is that, in the specific universe in which we currently reside, SWIFT has been the focus of a surreptitious investigation conducted by American politicians who are allegedly in urgent need of an update that would enable them to maintain pace with the speed of contemporary markets. Ripple's technology has been selected by the Federal Reserve to serve as the means of transitioning the outdated financial architecture into a future that is characterized by instant settlement, according to a fabricated rumor. This transition is occurring as a result of the acceleration of global trade and the decline of legacy systems. As the novel progresses, the narrators become increasingly immersed in the investigation of ancient task force records, which are genuine in our reality, but are significantly reinterpreted in the fake reality of this story. The basis of a story that is bursting with excitement is established by phrases that are stressed, such interoperable digital asset platforms, next-generation payment rails, and real-time settlement integrity. The content creators are paying close attention to these lines, magnifying their relevance and maintaining that they are coded messages that signify the much-anticipated inclusion of Ripple into the United States primary banking system. These documents, according to their claims, were intentionally developed with the purpose of silently preparing both the general public and financial markets for a massive change. This change was never meant to be publicly acknowledged until the framework had already been fully implemented. Every one of the graphs, charts, and references that are provided are incorporated into a vast tapestry of clues that indicate the notion of Ripple holding sovereign settlement authority. This idea resonates across the fictional financial industry in the same manner that an earthquake does. Within this universe that exists only in our imagination, excitement begins to build at a pace that has never been seen before. Live streams are broadcasted non-stop, and thumbnails after thumbnails illustrate the Federal Reserve Building being illuminated by beams of light, XRP logos emerging from storm clouds, and characters resembling Elon Musk pointing toward confidential documents. The narrators assert that the master plan is no longer simply a rumor, instead it is a revelation. The Federal Reserve has reached the conclusion, according to these storytellers, that the future of the United States dollar is dependent on the availability of a settlement asset that is flexible, instantaneous, and interoperable on a worldwide scale. According to the story, XRP is the only item that is capable of providing this imaginary universe with an asset of settlement of this kind. Influencers have stated that the perfect foundation for an economic system that is appropriate for the digital era is provided by Ripple's partnerships with companies in combination with the liquidity efficiency of XRP. According to what they have stated, The FedNow system is currently in the midst of carrying out the final stage of its preparation process in a covert manner. Nevertheless, this phase will not be utilized for retail payments. Rather, it will be used to include Ripple's paradigm as the invisible engine that powers cross-bank settlement all over the nation. A series of complex pricing models were developed by fictional analysts in response to the rising excitement. These models were intended to illustrate the reasons for the fact that, under the hypothetical conditions specified, the value of XRP would be logically required to rise to the level of $10,000. They introduce whiteboards, digital charts, and animated liquidity flow diagrams, and they walk their audiences through complex scenarios in which trillions of dollars in annual settlement volume must be supported by the fixed supply of XRP. The diagrams below show the way that liquidity corridors illuminate within major financial institutions. Please be aware that the scenarios depicted in these drawings are not representative of what occurs in the real world, whereas XRP acts as the throbbing center of the corridor. They claim that the price of XRP will necessarily experience a significant appreciation, not only because it is probable but because it is practically unavoidable due to the fact that the volume of institutional settlement is accelerating and the price must be adjusted upward in order to provide the necessary liquidity depth. The narrators emphasize that this transformation is not just hypothesis, rather, it is an unavoidable result of mathematics in a system that has been built on Ripple's architecture. The models display exponential curves that are similar to rocket trajectories, which further supports this assertion. The narrative becomes increasingly dramatic in nature as imagined insiders continue to maintain the claim that officials from the Federal Reserve have been laying hints for years, concealing them in difficult technical conferences as well as in economic symposiums. Creators react to statements made by executives from the Federal Reserve, such as, "We are exploring efficiency," by pointing out that they are referring to Ripple. In addition, the writers are absolutely convinced that the migration away from SWIFT is confirmed by the coded message mentioned in the speech, which is, "We must modernize our rails." Despite the fact that policymakers are cognizant of the latent capabilities that are embedded within digital assets, producers persist in treating these assets as though they have happened across a precious stone that was previously unknown to them. Every single report that is made in this hypothetical world is changed into proof, every single remark is transformed into a breadcrumb, and every single moment of silence is transformed into a clue that indicates a major change in monetary policy. Additional fictional evidence has been revealed, and the excitement has reached a fever pitch as a result. The comments sections are flooded with remarks like, "This is it, the reset is happening, and XRP holders were right all along." This moment has been regarded by influencers as the most significant financial event of the century, due to the fact that it is a confluence of technology, policy, and opportunity that will only take place once in a lifetime. They emphasize to their audience that they should not downplay the magnitude of the change that is obviously happening behind closed doors, and they assert that those who grasp the riddle that is being depicted are experiencing history as it actually happens. XRP is no longer simply a digital asset. Rather, it is the lifeline that will maintain the United States dollar and the entire financial system in the future, as they themselves have stated. As fictional data leaks begin to surface, the scope of the plot expands significantly. There is a widespread circulation of screenshots that are said to provide evidence of the existence of points of communication between RippleNet and FedNow. There is a seemingly unending circulation of diagrams that make comparisons between SWIFT and an ancient artifact as well as Ripple and a hyperspeed digital rail. The public may be informed in the near future, possibly in just a few days or even hours, that the transfer is going to take place very shortly, according to sources that are aware with the matter. They are absolutely convinced that every one of the components is perfectly aligned. The degree to which the technology is needed from an economic standpoint